Can it get any more incredible? Yes? It's all incredible. It's all wonderful. You know, the people who are on this stage are for the most part, they're hand-picked. All the trainers have been hand-picked by me. And this next person that I want to bring up here, oh man, this guy is going to light a fire under your ass. This guy can resonate, all right? He can bring the house, all of it. He is a renowned professional speaker, an author, television personality. He has a high energy message that really has people shake off mediocrity. Shake off what? And live up to their true greatness. And he has been honored with award after award after award after award after award. And he's been touted as one of the world's top 5 speakers by Toastmasters International in all time. Good or good? He was actually awarded an Emmy for one of his recorded speech presentations, and he's become a leading fundraiser with PBS. With who? He is, I said, internationally recognized. He has got successful books all over the place. And one of his books is called Live Your Dreams. His newly released book is called It's Not Over Until You Win. This is a treat. This is the magnificence of none other than Mr. Les Brown.
All right, let's get to it. It's so great to be here. Well, let's get to work. All right, thank you. Let's get to work. You are beautiful. I'm so excited to be here. I'm very honored to be invited here by a man that I consider an icon when it comes to personal empowerment, a man who is truly a Renaissance man who's ahead of his time and having the vision and the dream to create a Woodstock of the mind. He's making history. T. Harv Eckert, let's give him a round of applause. Let's give it to him. Thank you so very much. Yes. And I consider him a personal coach, an example of what we all can be when we make up our minds of living from our greatness as opposed to our fears. How many of you have some major goals you'd like to achieve? Raise your hands, please. Very good. I like to ask that question. There's no saying that says, if you aim at nothing in life, you hit nothing dead on the head. I've been looking at my life and reflecting on my life because 10 years ago I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. I stand before you because of God's grace and mercy and faith, and knowing that as we work together, as we believe in the possibilities of the fact that healing takes place first within, then without, the possibility is unlimited of what we can do. I'm going to do a national tour called You Are More Powerful Than Cancer. One of the things I think doctors should never tell anyone they're terminally ill. I think what they should say is that my knowledge and ability to help you has terminated. My PSA 10 years ago was 110. As I stand before you, it's 270. 1 to 4 men, you know, that's normal. And PSA stands for prostate-specific antigen, but to me, PSA stands for positively staying alive. I was reflecting on my life during the time when I received 238 radiation seed implants. And as I looked at my life, I asked myself a question. And I want to ask you a question. How many of you know if you had your life to live over again, you could have done more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands, please. Now, that proves a point of what we do, what we accomplish, what we produce in life is only a tip of the iceberg of what's possible for us. I want you to think about some major goal that gives your life a sense of meaning right now. And as you're thinking about that, I want you to shake someone's hand on your right and your left and around you. Look them in the eyes and say with conviction, you have something special. Do that quickly now, please. Tell them you have something special. Yes. So now, I want you to join me right now. I want you to think about some major goal that you'd like to achieve. Something that gives your life a sense of meaning. Something that will give your life a sense of purpose and direction. My first major goal was to buy my mother a home. That was important to me. I'm adopted. I was born in a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City, in an abandoned building on a floor with a twin brother. And when we were 6 weeks of age, we were adopted by Mrs. Mamie Brown. My mother was 46 years of age. She only had a third-grade education, but she had a PhD in mother wit. I feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. I saw a sign once that said, God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. So my goal and dream was to buy my mother a home, to take care of my mother. My mother was a domestic worker on Miami Beach, and she would go to work, and many days she would take us with her. And we ate the food left over from the families that my mother cooked for. They were very kind and generous people. They would say, Mamie, whatever food is left over after you cook, you can pack it up and take it home to the children, the food that's left over after we eat, and feed those 7 children that you have adopted. Because of their generosity, many nights we did not go to bed hungry because they were so kind and so giving. We wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that Mama kept. If they were too small, Mama could sew, she would let them out. If they were too large, she would take them in. And my mother was a great baker. She could bake a cake. She could bake a sweet potato pie so good you couldn't eat it with your shoes on. You had to take your shoes off so you could wiggle your toes. And I used to say, looking at the beautiful mansions that she used to clean, I would say, Mama. She said, what is it, boy? When I become a man, I'm going to buy something like this for you. I'm going to buy you a home one day. She said, oh, Leslie, you don't have to do that. I said, I know, Mama, but I want to. I'm going to one day. And she didn't know, and she was curious, where was I getting those thoughts from? I used to work and take care of Mr. Sidursky. He was a very demanding man, very meticulous guy. He would say, Leslie, I said, yes, sir, come here. Yes, sir, you did not clean this ashtray. I'm sorry, sir, I do apologize. And I'd clean the ashtray. And look at this dust here. Look at this dust. I'm sorry, sir. Now, what Mr. Sidursky did not know was that I deliberately didn't clean certain things because I wanted him to call me into his office. Because when he was in his office, he would listen to motivational messages by a guy by the name of Earl Nightingale. It's a series called The Strangest Secret in the World. We become what we think about. All of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it. And as I heard those words, they began to program my mind and began to affect my thinking, and it changed how I saw myself. And my vision of myself began to expand. Listening to Bob Proctor talking earlier about awareness and how important it is, he most certainly is right, because I had the awareness at that point in time, as a result of being exposed to those messages, that I could do more than I was now experiencing. Even since I've been associated with working with Peak Potential, my level of awareness has expanded. Robert Riopel and Roxanne and Gail Kingsley, it began to expand all of the people that I've interacted with. Life is about expansion. Robert Schuller said success is never ending. And I want you to think about some goal that will give your life a sense of meaning and value. And whatever it is, I don't want you to limit it. I want you to expand it. I've found that most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss. No, most people have been like me. Most people aim in life too low, and they aim too low and hit. I did that for many years, and many don't aim at all. So I want you to think about goals in 3 areas. Some personal goal that you'd like to achieve, something that gives your life meaning right now, and some career goal, some financial goal that you'd like to achieve, and your social contribution. Horace Mann said we should be ashamed to die until we've made some major contribution to humankind. My mother was a 22-year breast cancer conqueror. So before I leave the planet, my goal is to reduce the number of women who die from breast cancer in honor of my mother. How many men are over 40? Raise your hands, please. As a 10-year prostate cancer conqueror, my goal is to decrease the number of men who die from prostate cancer, encouraging you to get your PSA test if you haven't done so, or your digital rectal examination. And I'll be glad when they can check our prostate by looking in our ears. There's got to be a better way. I'm turning red as I talk about it, but you can't see it. A friend of mine, he's a urologist now, used to play a lineman for Ohio State University. He said, "Hey, Les, let me give you a free rectal." I said, "No, buddy, you too motivated." Hope we don't roll like that. Huh? My goal before leaving the planet is to reduce the number of kids that are impacted by autism, to find a cure for autism, to work to raise money and to raise awareness, to eradicate it from the planet before I leave here. What's your goal? What's your dream? What is it you want to do with your life? Dr. Joelle Martin said something that I love. She said, "What would the world be like if everybody lived their dream?" Here's what I've found about life. It's not as complicated as I used to make it. I think that life is about dreams and stories. Everything that exists, the world at one time was barren, but everything that exists, hotels, planes, they weren't here. Everything that we see every day, computers, all of the things that we see, someone had a dream. Someone had a dream of a person standing on stage and their voice being amplified so they don't have to scream and yell and can be heard by thousands. Someone had that dream of how to transport us from one place to the other quickly and safely. The clothes you have on, where you're now seated, all came out of somebody's dream, the world's greatest achievement. What is your dream? I said that you have something special. I didn't say that just to be kind. I said it because it's true. You are God's chosen vessel. You were chosen, 1 out of 400 million sperm. You have something in you that when you were chosen, when you showed up, there's something in you that if you don't do it, all of us will suffer. Repeat after me, please. Live full. Live full. Die empty. Let's say it again. Live full. Die empty. Dr. Howard Thurman, one of the mentors of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Albert Schweitzer and Mahatma Gandhi, he was a very brilliant writer. He wrote some things that really grabbed me. He wrote, "Deep is the hunger, the voice of the genuine, the centering moment." During the time after receiving 238 radiation seed implants, I was reflecting on his words, and these words kept me up that night. He said, "The ideal situation for a man or woman to die is to have family members praying with them as they cross over." He said, "But imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the ghost of the dreams, the ideas, the abilities, the talents given to you by life, and that you, for whatever reason, you never went after that dream. You never acted on those ideas. You never used those talents. You never used those gifts. And there they are standing around your bed looking at you with large angry eyes saying, 'We came to you, and only you could have given us life. And now we must die with you forever.'" And the question is, if you died today, what dreams, what ideas, what talents, what books, what music, what leadership, what voice will die with you? Miles Monroe, great orator and speaker, said the wealthiest place on the planet, it's not in the Far East where there's oil in the ground. It's not in South Africa where there are diamond mines. He said the wealthiest place on the planet is the cemetery, Because there you'll find greatness that we've never seen. There you'll find talent and genius and potential never actualized. Perhaps that's why Henry David Thoreau wrote the words, "Oh God, to reach the point of death, only to realize that you've never lived." Maybe that's why some unknown writer wrote the words, "What if you live your whole life only to discover that it was wrong? That it was wrong. That you were chosen to do something else and you didn't do it." Repeat after me, please. Live full. Die empty. I want you to take some notes and some things, and I want you to think about your goals and dreams in the three categories that I mentioned: personal, professional, and your social contribution. How many of you are serious about your goals and dreams? Raise your hands, please. Thank you very much. How many of you don't want to take your dreams to your grave with you? Raise your hands, please. Very good. Shake someone's hand on your right and left. Look them in the eyes and say, "Get out of your head and step into your greatness." Do that right now, please. Say, "Get out of your head and step into your greatness." I want you to write this down. Let us say together, as you think about your goals and dreams, let us say together, "It's possible," together, please. Yes, write that down. See, ladies and gentlemen, as an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. It's my 21st year. I could have been speaking and training for 34 years. But for 14 years, I was living in my head. For 14 years, I stopped myself. For 14 years, I used to go see Zig Ziglar, that I considered the #1 motivational speaker on the planet. Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins, they're the best on the planet. Bob Proctor, they're the best on the planet. Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, T. Harv Eker. I would go and see them, and then I would leave, and my conversation with myself was, my heart would say, "I can do that." And then my mind would ask, how? How would you do that, Les Brown? See, when I was in the 5th grade, I was identified as EMR, labeled educable mentally retarded, put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade. I failed again when I was in the 8th grade. I have no college training. And a man changed my life, and I'll never forget his name, Mr. Leroy Washington. He's in his 80s now, and he's blind from glaucoma, but he gave me a different vision of myself. I was in his class waiting on another student. He came in and said, "Young man, go to the board and work this problem out for me." I said, "Oh, sir, I can't do that." He said, "Why not?" I said, I'm not one of your students." He said, "Look at me." "Yes, sir. Go to the board and work the problem out anyhow." I said, "Sir, I can't do that." He said, "Why?" I said, "Sir, because I'm educable mentally retarded, sir. I'm in special education." And the students started laughing. They said, "That's Leslie. That's not Wesley. He's DT. Wesley is the smart twin." He said, "What does DT stand for?" I said, I'm the dumb twin, sir." And as the students laughed at me, he came from behind his desk. He looked at me and he said, "Don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality." On one hand, I was humiliated, but on the other hand, I was liberated, because he looked at me with the eyes of Goethe, who said, "Look at a man the way that he is, he only becomes worse. But look at him as if he were what he could be, then he becomes what he should be." And so we developed a relationship. And one of the things that I can just tell you as you think about your goals and dreams, all of us can say in a spirit of integrity that it's possible. That if anybody at any point in time lived their dream, then it's possible that I can live mine. And what I did was, I made a mistake. I looked at my goals and dreams, and my mind said, "How will you do that?" I went from my heart to my mind, and I stayed up there for 14 years. 14 years. I can't bring those 14 years back. Those years are gone. And I've made a mission in my life to help people to stop putting it off and procrastinating. How many ever thought about something you wanted to do and you procrastinated, you talked yourself out of it? Raise your hand, please. There's a proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. And so, as you look at your goals and dreams, every day we must convince ourselves, we must sell ourselves on that it's possible. Every seminar, every workshop, every book that I've ever read, every speaker that I've ever heard, it interrupted what I was believing about myself. Everything that you do, everything matters. As you go through each day, I know now as I look back at age 63, looking at my life, everything matters. T. Harv is right. How you do anything is how you do everything. And I realized that the choices I was making was based upon how I saw myself. Let us say together, it's necessary. Write that down. It's necessary as you look at your goals and your dreams, it's necessary that you have a strategy and a game plan to change the story that you believe about yourself. And that's an ongoing process. I've discovered, and many people have, that what we do, what we accomplish, what we produce is a result of the story we believe about ourselves. My favorite book says, "Be ye not conformed to this world, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." And so as I began to work on myself, I realized that I'm getting out of one story and stepping into another story. As I become aware of some things, there's still some things I'm not aware of. So I'm still growing, I'm still developing. I'm like the lady who said, "Lord, I ain't what I want to be, ain't what I'm going to be, but thank God I sure ain't what I was." But I realize that you have to work on yourself on a regular basis, and write this down, for mental mindset. For mental mindset and stamina. Because things are going to happen to you. I believe that the reason that most people go to their graves with their talents and abilities and skills in them is because of the fact, number one, many are like me. They didn't know that they didn't know and thought they knew. I thought I knew myself, and I really didn't know myself as well as I thought. I've discovered that sometimes people can take you to a place within yourself that you can't go by yourself. The other reason is I was afraid. I never worked for a major corporation. I wanted to speak for corporations. I was afraid I would be exposed because I don't have a college education. I felt inferior because of the fact that I don't have a college education. I allowed that level of fear of failure to stop me. And because I never had any experience in it, I assumed that I could not do it. I was paralyzing myself by believing and assuming the limited part of myself as opposed to believing that I had something special. You have something special. There's something you want to do. Because you don't know how to do it doesn't mean that you can't learn. I like something that I heard. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Repeat after me, please. Leap and grow your wings on the way down. See, the people that will live their dreams, the 2% that will do that, these are, and write this down, become a risk taker. They're risk takers. They don't mind failing. They don't mind making mistakes. They're willing to take life on, take life in the collar. This, God said, if you're not willing to risk, you cannot grow. And if you cannot grow, you cannot become your best. And if you cannot become your best, you can't be happy. And if you can't be happy, then what else is there? I like what Helen Keller said. She said, life is short and unpredictable. Eat the dessert first. Here's something else. Write this down. Make it important to become financially independent. You know, people say money won't make you happy, but everybody want to find out for themselves. A friend of mine named Rita Davenport said, money's not important, but it's right up there with oxygen. And let me tell you something, fellas, even if you're as homeless as I am, you got some money, some women will find something cute on you. Oh, he's got eyelashes like Tom Cruise. He's got to walk like Denzel Washington, you know. I used to be so broke I'd walk past a bank and trip the alarm. Creditors would call the house and my children would answer the phone and say, my daddy say he's not home. Repeat after me, please. I'll never be broke again. Never, never, never. Yeah, see, ladies and gentlemen, it makes a difference. The only time I really appreciated having money was when my mother became ill. I was a state legislator in Columbus, Ohio from the 29th House District, Whitehall in the Upper Linden area. And my brother called me and said, Leslie, yes, Mama's been sick and we're going to put her in a nursing home. I said, wait a minute, Wesley, we can't do that. Get Margaret Ann on the phone. She's on the phone. Get Linda and Leonard. They're all here, Leslie. Listen to me. Mama used to work in a nursing home. She said she never wanted to go into one. I promised her when I was 10 that I would take care of her. We would do whatever was necessary to take care of her. He said, we knew you would feel like that. And this is why we did such a thorough job interviewing the various nursing homes. And we have found the one that's ideal, and Mama would love them. I said, hold it, just a minute. She didn't clean their behinds. She took care of us. See, I had a problem. I couldn't understand how one woman, third grade education, 46, domestic worker on Miami Beach, can raise 7 children who couldn't take care of themselves, but 7 children couldn't take care of one woman. I had a problem with that. I had a problem with that. So I resigned from the Ohio legislature and I went back to Miami to take care of Mama. And I'll never forget taking her to Jackson Memorial Hospital. And when we went in, the receptionist said, as she looked at my mother, looked at me, she didn't say, how you doing? Are you uncomfortable? Are you in any pain? My mother at that time, she was in her 70s. The lady just said, what kind of insurance do you have? And I stepped forward and I said, she has Les Brown Unlimited. Give my mother what she needs. I can write a check for her. It gives you choices. It determines the difference in life and death, ability to afford health care, the quality of education that you can provide for your children, the ability to make a difference in the community. I'm doing training with young people in an area of Chicago called Englewood, where more young men have been killed in Englewood than in the Iraqi war, teaching them